With a billionaire French owner, the biggest stadium in the EFL and regular one of the highest attendances in the whole of England, you'd expect Sunderland to be Premier League regulars. They probably should be, if not for a series of now very famous and disastrous off-the-pitch situations that have condemned them to at least 4 and probably 5 seasons in the 3rd division at least. Kyril Louis-Drefus came in with quite a lot of hype. He also owns a stake in Marseille, who of course have progressed quite a lot over the recent years, and it's a club that his father used to own, so the belief was there that he could be the man finally getting Sunderland to be moving in the right way. In January 2022, a run of 1 win from 8 games saw manager Lee Johnson get sacked, and despite rumours of a Roy Keane return, the form hasn't improved since. Neal has become manager, and it's not got much better. FIFAwise, Sunderland are actually in a pretty good position. They're the joint best squad in League One with Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Wigan. They've actually got a better squad than 2 of the Championship in Blackpool and Peterborough, and they have the 15th biggest transfer budget in the entire EFL, more than 10 Championship teams. They've also got several players who have potential to eventually play in the Premier League. This is my first of 7 guides for different EFL teams that I'm going to upload in this week. I'm going to call it EFL week, and I'm going to try and get one out every single day. We're going to run through the squad quickly now, and then at the end of the video, talk about the youth academy and some objectives for you if you decide to do the save. Let's get started with the goalkeeper situation. It is arguably the worst area of the squad, with Hoffman and Berg both being fairly poor. There's not really too much to be talking about here. You've probably got a different preference for what kind of goalkeeper you like compared to me. You might like really tall ones, you might like the ones that have acrobatic saves or saves with feet, but you should definitely try and focus on getting someone in the high 60s, maybe even 70 rated goalkeeper in with some of that big transfer budget. Moving over to centre-back, and we have a bit more to talk about here. If you can cope playing with slow centre-backs, then you're set for at least season 1. Ex-Wolves player Danny Bat just about scrapes over 30 pace, and Bailey Wright is also under 55 pace. However, both are fairly comfortable on the ball, so as long as you're okay with the risk that the opposition can get in behind you at ease, you'll be able to dominate possession and probably win most of the aerial challenges. Callum Doyle is another player at centre-back who can't be ignored. He's a similar rating to both Wright and Bat, and despite only being 17 years old, he has by far the highest potential ceiling of any player in the entire squad. His physicals should improve to somewhere in the high 70s, if not the low 80s, leaving you with a very tall, strong, fast and able defender who will most likely be able to play in Europe by season 5 at the latest. On the fullback positions, your first choice left-back Dennis Kirkin is another Sunderland defender who struggles with pace. He has potential to be top class, another Premier League kind of player, so if you can train or deal with this limitation, you'll be set for multiple seasons. On the other side, Winchester is more of a FIFA fullback. He's got decent physicals and good defending, but he will of course reach his potential limit a little bit faster than Kirkin because he is a few years older. With stamina for days, he could be a good option if you decide to move to a 5 at the back formation, but I personally would suggest signing a quicker fullback who can play both right and left back. A fairly cheap option could be someone like Tendai Darikwa, who currently plays for fellow League One team Wigan Athletic. Defensive midfield, and Corey Evans is one of your initial starting players in this position. However, you'll probably want to play the combination of Luke O'Neill and Jay Matete for their strong FIFA stats. Both are quick, both have a lot of stamina, they've got good balance and good agility, which are all really important for a FIFA defensive midfielder. But they do have a weakness in that they're both well under 6 foot tall. You might risk being weak to long balls and opposition goal kicks, but any passing move that the opposition does has a good chance of being intercepted by at least one of them. Together, I feel like you'd have a strong and dominant midfield, with players who are ideal if you set up for a pressing game. Neal is one you should also be going to minutes to whenever possible. He's got similar stats to both O'Neill and Matete, but Neal also has potential to get better than both, and definitely Premier League class if you can get him up to it. With a bit of work, he'll be a key player for Sunderland as you rise back to the top of the Premier League. On the wings and attacking midfield, your 3 behind the striker is ridiculously strong for League One. Patrick Roberts, Alex Pritchard and an ageing Aidan McGeady could all easily play in the league above. If you prefer out-and-out pace to McGeady and Roberts' excellent dribbling, you could also start Jack Clarke, who's on loan from Spurs, or recall Jack Diamond, who Sunderland have loaned out to Harrogate, because he's one of the fastest players in the entire EFL. However, personally, I would go for Roberts and McGeady with Pritchard in behind the striker, because I think this is a really good balance of very good dribbling and very good technical ability. Finally, at striker, Ross Stewart is the one you'll have leading the line. He's the exact striker that I like in FIFA. He's 1m90, he's got good and not amazing pace, so he's not going to be overpowered. He can finish, and he still has some potential to improve. At only 24 years old, with dynamic potential, Stewart can most likely become the best Scottish striker in the game. Your other option is also probably the biggest name in League One at the moment, returning hero Jermaine Defoe. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite have the 94 pace he had on FIFA 09, but his finishing hasn't actually deteriorated that much in the 13 years since that game. Provide him with the service in the box and he'll score most of his chances, but don't expect him to do too much more like dropping deep, linking up the play or running in behind. So that's the team. Overall, it's pretty strong. I would probably focus on getting a bit of a stronger goalkeeper, possibly a fullback and maybe a defensive midfielder, someone that can sort of pair well with Neal if you can get him up. If you prefer a faster attacking midfielder, there isn't really that option in the squad either, so have a look and see if you can get someone like Scott Twine, who plays for Milton Keynes. Finally, the youth team. Historically, Sunderland have always had a very good core of English players, with a decent amount of Irish and Swedish players thrown in. Really, a lot of their best talents have been purchased cheaply from other bigger teams. A big example here could be someone like Kieran Richardson, who was very well hyped when he was at Manchester United, but only really took off when he joined Sunderland. Their academy has produced some really good players too, however. The two most famous currently active former academy players from Sunderland are Jordan Pickford and Jordan Henderson, who of course are both currently England internationals. But even throughout the EFL, you'll have some very familiar names. You'll know the likes of Jack Colback, Martin Waghorn, Grant Ledbetter and Conor Hurahan if you've been following the Championship at any point over the last 5 seasons. I'd go for 2 2-star scouts, one set in England and one in Ireland, with another 1-star scout being sent to Scandinavia, Scotland and Wales on a rotation based on your opinion of how many you want from each nation. Realistically, going anywhere for this 3rd scout is possibly more realistic, but I think stick to the northern parts of Scandinavia and of course Scotland. Thank you all for watching, hopefully you've enjoyed this video and hopefully you're looking forward to EFL week. This is something that was suggested by some people on a recent community post. They wanted a Sunderland one, but I also had some different other EFL teams, so I thought I'd try and merge them together and just give you them all at once. Coming up, we've got teams like Bristol City, also in the Championship, Oldham Athletic, of course, League 2, but used to be in the Premier League, and AFC Wimbledon also coming out very soon, but I've also got a couple of gaps, so if you've got any suggestions for teams you'd want to see in this, please do leave them in the comments below. Check if you're subscribed if you want to see all of that, because you don't want to miss it, of course. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and follow me on Discord, on Twitter, the normal kind of stuff if you want to get in touch and send me a message. Thank you all for watching. I'll hopefully see you next time for another video. Cheers and goodbye.